Guided by whispers, Runa and Frode venture deeper into the enchanted forest, where mystical illusions offer visions of familiar comforts and long-held desires. Each must resist these alluring shadows, realizing that their journey lies not in past comforts, but in embracing the uncertainties of the unknown. Together, their shared resilience forges a deeper bond, leading them onward with a new sense of purpose, beyond seeking Freyja's blessing. As they press forward, they find themselves at the heart of the grove, where Freyja's presence fills the air. Here, they must confront what they seek within each other's hearts, opening themselves to truths they hadn't expected. Emboldened by honesty and trust, they stand side by side, ready for whatever lies ahead. Welcome to Hugin and Munin Stories. This is the final part in our two-part story, The Whispering Grove, Freyja's Gift of Love. Chapter 4. The Stream of Reflection. The forest grew denser as Runa and Frode ventured further, the trees towering overhead, their branches interwoven like the fingers of ancient giants. Light filtered through the canopy in fractured beams, casting an ethereal glow over the path. The air was thick with the scent of moss and pine, and the ever-present whisper that seemed to follow them grew stronger, like the murmuring of unseen beings. The silence between them was no longer uncomfortable. Having shared the depths of their own fears, Runa and Frode now moved with a shared understanding, a quiet companionship that neither needed to name. Runa found herself stealing glances at Frode as they walked, noting the subtle tension in his jaw, the way his gaze softened whenever he looked at her. Before long, the path led them to another clearing, where a wide, shallow stream wound its way across the forest floor. Its waters shimmered with a silver light, as if moonbeams had been trapped within the current. As they approached, Runa felt a strange pull, a gentle insistence that they stop and look into the stream. Frode crouched by the water's edge, his expression pensive. It feels different, doesn't it? Like it holds more than just water. Runa knelt beside him, peering into the clear depths. The surface reflected the sky above, a pale blue with streaks of clouds drifting by. But as she looked closer, the image began to shift. She saw herself, but not as she was. The Runa in the water seemed distant, her face shadowed with sorrow and fear, a loneliness etched deep within her gaze. She felt a chill run through her, as though the reflection had reached out and touched something hidden within her heart. It shows us what we hide, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Our own doubts, our own darkness. Frode's jaw tightened as he looked into the water, his eyes darkening as he beheld his own reflection. There, in the silvery depths, he saw himself, strong but burdened. The reflection of Frode bore an armor of expectation, a weight that seemed to crush his spirit. His face lined with the weariness of a man constantly seeking approval he feared he would never truly receive. He closed his eyes, his voice low. I've spent my life trying to live up to something, trying to be someone others could look up to. A man worthy of my father's name. His voice cracked, the pain behind his words raw. But I wonder if I'll ever be enough. Runa reached out, resting a hand on his arm, feeling his tension ease under her touch. She had never been one for grand speeches, yet something within her compelled her to speak. Frode, worth doesn't come from others. It's something you find within yourself. Sometimes it's the hardest thing to see. She looked down, gathering her own courage. I know what it feels like to feel invisible. To wonder if you even have a place among others. But, she paused, searching for the words. But I think maybe that's why we're here. To find those pieces we've lost. To see ourselves the way we're meant to be. Frode looked at her, his eyes filled with something that was both gratitude and awe. You're stronger than you realize, Runa. You see things others can't. I'm grateful to share this journey with you. A faint warmth bloomed in Runa's chest, something tender and unexpected. She looked away, a blush coloring her cheeks, yet she couldn't hide the small smile that tugged at her lips. They stayed by the stream a while longer, each of them gazing into the water, letting their reflections reveal the truths they had buried. Runa saw in her own eyes the loneliness that had always lingered just beneath the surface, a longing for connection she had never dared acknowledge. And yet, as she sat beside Frode, she felt that loneliness begin to fade, replaced by a quiet sense of belonging. After a time, they rose, leaving the stream behind. The forest felt lighter somehow, the air less dense, as though the trees themselves had borne witness to their silent confessions and deemed them worthy to continue. They walked in silence, a comfortable quiet that needed no words. Frode glanced over at Runa now and then, his gaze lingering a little longer each time, his expression thoughtful. For all his easy confidence, she saw a vulnerability in him now, a side of him he rarely revealed. And in turn, Runa felt a newfound courage, a willingness to let herself be seen. As they journeyed on, they encountered other small wonders, glowing stones that pulsed with a gentle light, animals that watched them with curious eyes before darting away into the trees, and flowers that seemed to bloom in their presence. Runa felt as if they had entered a realm not bound by the rules of the ordinary world, a place where magic lingered in every breath of wind, every glimmer of light. By dusk, they reached a quiet glade where they decided to camp for the night. They built a small fire, its warm glow casting soft shadows on the trees around them. As they ate a simple meal of dried meats and berries, Frode looked over at Runa, a glint of humor in his eyes. "You know, for someone who claims not to believe in legends, you seem perfectly at home here," he said, chuckling softly. Runa raised an eyebrow, her mouth twitching into a rare smile. "Perhaps I just have a talent for surviving peculiar situations." They both laughed, and for a moment, the forest seemed to join in, the leaves rustling in a gentle, approving murmur. Runa felt a warmth spread through her, a quiet joy that was not grand or overwhelming, but something steady, something that felt like home. As they settled down for the night, Frode's voice broke the silence. "Runa, do you think we're meant to find something here, something more than just Freyja's blessing?" Runa pondered his question, looking up at the stars that blinked through the canopy above. "I think. The grove doesn't just grant blessings. It reveals the truth about ourselves, about what we seek." She paused, feeling the weight of her own words. Maybe it's about finding the courage to face those truths, to accept them, even when they're difficult. Frode nodded, his gaze thoughtful. "Then perhaps that's why we're here, to find what we didn't know we were looking for." The night passed in a peaceful silence, and Runa drifted off to sleep, feeling the comforting presence of Frode beside her, a steady anchor in the shifting currents of the unknown. And as she slept, the whisper came again, gentle and soft, filling her dreams with promises of things yet unseen, of secrets hidden within the heart. When morning came, they would rise together, ready to face the next trial, their spirits a little stronger, their hearts a little more open. And though the journey to the heart of the grove was far from over, Runa felt, for the first time, that she was exactly where she was meant to be. Chapter 5: Whispers in the Wind. The morning dawned softly, with beams of golden sunlight filtering through the trees and dappling the forest floor. Runa woke with a sense of calm she hadn't known before, her mind still filled with the warmth of her dreams and the memory of the stream's reflection. Nearby, Frode was already up, packing their supplies with a quiet efficiency that belied his usual carefree nature. "Ready to face whatever Freyja has in store for us next?" he asked, a playful smile dancing on his lips as he handed her a handful of berries for breakfast. Runa smiled back, feeling her heart lighten. as ready as I'll ever be. They continued their journey, moving deeper into the heart of the forest. The path seemed to wind in endless loops, as if testing their patience and resolve. The air around them grew thick with magic, a gentle hum that seemed to come from all directions, filling every breath they took. Runa felt a strange familiarity with it, as though the magic were an old friend she hadn't seen in years. After a time, the path opened into another glade, this one filled with trees that seemed older than any they had seen before. Their branches arched high above, twisted and gnarled, and each leaf glistened with a faint silvery light. Runa felt a chill run down her spine, a tingling that prickled her skin, as though the air itself was alive and aware of their presence. Then, softly, a whisper drifted through the glade, carried on a breeze that wound its way between the trees. Runa, Frode. Both of them froze, looking around with wide eyes. The voice was soft, gentle, yet it held a power that resonated deep within their hearts. Runa glanced at Frode, and he nodded, his expression a mix of excitement and wariness. The whisper grew stronger, filling the air, urging them forward. Come, listen to the heart's true voice. They followed the voice, moving slowly and deliberately, every step feeling as though it were guided by something beyond them. As they ventured further into the glade, the whispers seemed to change, shifting in tone and intensity, like a distant melody that only grew clearer as they drew nearer. Then, the path before them blurred, and shimmering illusions appeared on either side, each one offering a vision, a temptation to stray from the path. On Runa's left, she saw her small cottage in Fordholm, nestled peacefully by the river, surrounded by the villagers she had known all her life. She saw herself as she was now, the quiet healer, tending to the people's needs, safe and content in her solitude. Her heart ached at the sight, a yearning she couldn't quite explain, a life that was comfortable and familiar, free from the unknowns that lay in the path ahead. On Frode's right, a different vision appeared. It showed a grand hall filled with warriors, men and women clad in armor who chanted his name, lifting their horns in tribute. His father stood at the front, pride in his eyes as he watched his son bask in the glory he had always sought. It was a scene of triumph, of approval hard won, a lifetime of striving rewarded with the respect he had longed for. Both Runa and Frode felt the pull, the temptation to step into the visions and abandon the unknown path before them. The visions whispered promises, gentle and soothing, calling them with words of comfort and familiarity. But Runa shook her head, closing her eyes against the image. Her heart beat wildly, and she gripped her staff tightly, grounding herself. "These are only shadows," she murmured, her voice steady. "They're things we think we want, but they're not the truth." Frode looked at her, his gaze intense, the vision still lingering before him. But what if it is the truth? What if this is what we're meant to have? Runa met his eyes, seeing the struggle within him. She took a step closer, her voice calm but firm. The path to the grove has never been about easy answers or rewards we can imagine. Freyja's blessing lies beyond these illusions, beyond the things we think will make us whole. Her words seemed to pierce through his doubt, and Frode drew a deep breath, letting the vision dissolve. The two of them stood together, their gazes locked, each drawing strength from the other. The whispering voices faded, leaving behind a quiet that felt both eerie and profound. Runa sensed that they had passed some unseen trial, that they had been tested and found worthy. She felt an odd mixture of relief and exhilaration, a sense that they were closer now to the heart of the grove, and to the answers they sought. As they continued on, Runa felt herself growing more attuned to the magic around them. Every rustle of leaves, every whisper of the wind felt like a message, a sign leading them forward. And though the journey was still filled with uncertainties, she no longer felt afraid. With each step, her trust in herself and in Frode grew. They walked in silence, but it was a silence filled with understanding, a bond that had deepened in the face of doubt. For the first time, Runa realized that the grove wasn't just a destination. It was a journey of transformation, a path that revealed who they would be beneath all their fears and pretenses. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows across the forest floor, they finally reached another glade, this one smaller and filled with a soft golden light. The air was warm, carrying the faint scent of blooming flowers, and Runa felt a wave of peace wash over her. The whisper came again, softer this time, like a caress. "You have done well, my children. You have seen the heart's true voice." Runa and Frode glanced at each other, awe and gratitude filling their expressions. They knelt in reverence, knowing that they had entered a place sacred and ancient, a place where the goddess's presence was woven into every breath, every blade of grass. As they closed their eyes, Runa felt a warmth bloom within her chest, a gentle fire that filled her with a sense of belonging, of love not just for the forest or the goddess, but for the man beside her who had shared this journey. She opened her eyes and found Frode watching her, his gaze soft and filled with an emotion she could not quite name. They rose together, hands brushing in a silent gesture of companionship, and continued onward, knowing that the final trial lay ahead. Chapter 6. The Heart of the Grove. The forest around them grew dense and shadowed as they approached the heart of the grove. Runa and Frode walked in silence, each step measured, their hearts steady with a newfound certainty. The air was thick with an otherworldly energy, humming with the promise of ancient magic. Runa felt as if the entire journey had led to this moment, the trials peeling away the layers they had hidden beneath for so long. As they entered a clearing, a shimmering mist descended, blanketing the glade in silvery light. The trees stood tall and watchful, their branches adorned with delicate blossoms that glowed faintly, as though lit from within. In the center of the clearing, a pool of crystal clear water lay undisturbed, its surface reflecting the sky above. A gentle breeze stirred the mist, and then a voice filled the air, soft yet powerful, echoing from every corner of the grove. Runa and Frode knelt, sensing the presence of Freyja herself, the goddess's spirit woven into every breath of the forest around them. "My children," the voice intoned, warm and ancient, filled with a love that embraced them. "You have journeyed far, through trials that tested not only your strength but your hearts. Now, tell me, what is it that you seek in each other's hearts?" Runa's breath caught in her throat, her heart racing. She looked at Frode, seeing him fully, every flaw, every fear, every moment of kindness and courage that had brought them here. She felt an urge, deep and fierce, to speak the truth that had grown within her, a truth that only this journey had brought to light. Taking a breath, she found her voice steady and calm. "I seek acceptance," she began, her voice wavering but resolute. "I have hidden behind solitude, fearing to trust, to open my heart. But in Frode, I see someone who understands me as I am, who accepts the quiet strength and the fears I carry. I seek companionship, a life where I no longer have to be alone." Her words hung in the air, filling the grove with a quiet, profound warmth. Frode's gaze softened, his hand reaching for hers, his touch grounding her, filling her with a sense of belonging she had never felt before. Then it was his turn. He looked at her, his eyes filled with a deep, unwavering sincerity. "All my life I have sought approval, tried to prove myself worthy of others' respect. But what I truly seek is not approval, it is understanding." His voice softened, his words reaching into the depths of his soul. "In Runa, I have found someone who sees beyond the armor, who knows my fears and does not turn away. I seek love. Love that does not demand perfection but shares in both joy and sorrow." As he spoke, the grove seemed to come alive. The blossoms on the trees glowed brighter, the air filling with a warmth that felt like a gentle embrace. The voice of Freyja returned, tender and filled with joy. "You have both spoken the heart's true voice," the goddess intoned, her blessing woven into each word. "And so, I grant you my gift, not only of love but of understanding, companionship, and the courage to share your lives. May this blessing be a light to guide you through all trials yet to come." A gentle breeze swept through the grove, carrying with it a sense of peace and fulfillment. Runa felt a warmth blossom within her, filling every corner of her heart. She looked at Frode, and he at her, both of them knowing, without words, that something profound and unbreakable had bound them together. With Freyja's blessing upon them, they rose from their knees, feeling the grove's magic seep into their very souls. The mist began to lift, the light fading softly, but the warmth of the goddess's blessing remained, woven into every breath they took. Hand in hand, they turned back toward the path, knowing that the journey ahead would be walked not alone, but together. Epilogue: a new path together. The days passed like a gentle dream as Runa and Frode made their way back to Fjordholm. The journey home felt different from the one that had brought them to the grove. Each step seemed lighter, the silence between them rich with understanding. They walked side by side, sometimes in conversation, other times in peaceful quiet, feeling a bond that had grown beyond words. As they neared the edge of the forest, the familiar landscape of Fjordholm coming into view, Runa felt a quiet strength within her, a confidence that had been born from the journey. She looked at Frode, who wore a gentle smile, his gaze softened by the peace he had found in Freyja's blessing. They entered the village together, their presence drawing the curious gazes of the villagers. Some whispered to each other, their eyes wide with wonder, for it was rare to see Runa, the quiet healer, walking beside anyone, much less with such contentment in her eyes. Life in Fjordholm resumed as it always had, but Runa's days felt brighter, her heart steadier. She returned to her work as a healer, but this time she did not feel alone. Frode remained by her side, a steady presence that brought lightness and laughter to her life, and in his company, she found the courage to share parts of herself she had once hidden away. The village, too, saw a change in Frode. The young warrior who had once sought approval now lived with a quiet humility, his once brash demeanor tempered by a newfound understanding of himself. He no longer needed to prove his worth, for he had found acceptance, not just in Runa's eyes, but in his own heart. In the evenings, they would sit together by the riverbank, watching the sun set over the distant hills, their hands entwined, their hearts at peace. And though neither spoke of the grove often, they felt its magic within them, a gentle reminder of the journey they had shared, a blessing that wove their lives together. And so, Runa and Frode walked forward, not knowing where the path would lead, but trusting in each other, bound by a love that had been found in the heart of an enchanted grove. They had discovered, through Freyja's blessing, that love was not merely a feeling, but an act of courage, a quiet strength, and an enduring promise to walk life's journey side by side. And with that, we say goodbye for this time. Thank you for listening to the final part of our story, The Whispering Grove, Freyja's Gift of Love.